Hello, everybody. This is ALBER. Okay, so we're back here. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe what has become over time kind of a buzzword. That buzzword is happy accidents, right? We hear so much talk about happy accidents happening. Now, personally, I do love when happy accidents happen, but what is one? Well, sometimes happy accident is a way to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and this happened, and it sounds kind of cool. And that happens to me all the time, and I love that. Other times is when maybe a machine is not routed greatly or is not super intuitive. So when you do things out of randomness, when yes, you don't know what you're doing because the machine maybe does not support your ideas or high playability value, whatever that is, then you can say, well, I guess that was a happy accident. Well, in this case, I'm here with the Elektron Digitakt, my trusty box. Hi. And, this is such a great machine. It's so playable. I keep discovering things about it. I keep learning new ways to use this machine. And even so, I am getting more and more experienced on it, and I produce all of my stuff basically on this machine. It starts on this machine for me at least. I still find ways to manage to have happy accidents into my music, which always have this sort of refreshing value, something that you were not expecting, that you could not have come up with, that somehow the machine filled the gap for you, right? Something like that. Well, so yeah, I wanted to explore a few ways in which this is possible in this machine. Let's go. Okay, so the first method that I use to have happy accidents, that's pretty straightforward, right? Obviously, we know that there's like ways to randomize stuff in here. That has already been covered. If I'll find something extraordinary useful, maybe I'll post another video on that. But so I don't want to talk about trick conditions and stuff like that because that's pretty straightforward, right? So one way that I recently discovered to just shake the head a little bit and see what comes out of it is to use the randomizing function, but on specific parameters, right? So you have on the Digitakt all these pages, right? You have 5 pages. I guess that these are called sound design tools, whatever you want to call them. So I recently just discovered that maybe you already know about this. I personally didn't. It is on the manual, but it's somewhat kind of like one of those things that you tend to glance over. So if you keep pushing one of these pages, let's say the filter, okay, and then you hit yes, it randomizes all the parameters within the page. So this is a great way to not change everything and just twist some random knobs, but just compartmentalize things that you want to change on. So right now I have this little pattern, right? Little bass. Okay. So okay, I'm here and I want to change this melodic part. And let's say I want to change the filter of it, okay? So just hold filter and yes. Oh, I like that. Let's do it again. Yeah, this is so cool. You can keep doing it until you stumble on something that you really like. I love the grainy texture in here. Oh, low pass filter. Okay, maybe. Then the cool thing is that once you find something that you can kind of work with, then you can fine tuning to what you like. Now, even more, a more extreme variation could be to change the source page, to randomize the source page. That's gonna change completely the way this thing sounds. Yeah, right? It's like, okay, there's a gong sounding thing. Cool. But the second part, this tan ta tan ta tan, that has been I have put a conditional trig in there. A parameter lock, I meant to say. All the labels sometimes get confusing. So you will keep hearing that because I saved it as such, right? I think it's this one. Yeah, you can see like I parameter locked this sample. So that will stay true because I locked it in. Everything else will keep changing. And this is like also good because it's not gonna make no sense at all. Even if you change it, you're still gonna have one thing that you can grapple upon. We'll listen to this. Okay, this could be some interesting pad. Let's change the filter up again. And now let's change the amplitude page. Let's put some delay and reverb on. What happens if I do this? Let's see. Oh, the trig parameter actually is not getting randomized, which makes sense because usually this menu, you always use this per note generically. Maybe you can change the probability, but you cannot randomize that. You can randomize though the LFO page, which is very, very, very useful. Let's see. Does it change both LFOs at once? So this is on width. Let's see. It changes one LFO at once. So every page is randomized. Does it randomize also the compressor? Let's see. You kind of have to let. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Amazing. Does it randomize the mixer? I'm kind of like figuring this as I go. It does not randomize the mixer or the external mixer. Okay, but the compressor can be randomized. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so let's bring in the rest of the pattern. Let's change this bass. Let's see if anything more interesting can come about. Some percussion. Okay, a little glitchy. I like that. Haha, that's funny. Okay, so this is one way you can quickly change little parts of your sound design. I really like this tool. I think it works great, especially with the filter page, because you can stay on the same sample, but at the same time, really deep fry the sound in ways that you may not have thought about. Especially, I love the way it works on the envelope. So that can open up to some pretty interesting possibilities. Okay, so another way I found out you can really make whatever you're doing a little bit more interesting, or maybe just shake it up to see if it stands or on its own or whatever happens, right? That's the beauty of happy accidents, is that you don't have any control. That's the whole point, right? So something that I really like that can shake things up rhythmically, okay, is this very simple function, okay? Once you're like in the record mode, if you hold function and the arrows, right, you can slide all of your notes up and down. Now, that is pretty straightforward. People already know how to do this, but sliding 1 or 2 60 notes around can be a great tool to really change up the shape of your rhythm. So let's try it out. Now, this is the bass line, track number 7. Bop, 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 bop. So let's see what happens if I anticipate it. Da-ga-da, da-ga-da. Okay, it's already kind of like a different. Let me elongate it a little bit just to make it more audible. Let's try to do one more. One more. Let's go back to where we were. Now let's try to do 1/16 later. So yeah, the accents, you may want to work on those. I do like to dial in my accents when I have something percussive, something like that I like to mute, ta 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 ta, right? Something like that. I like to dial those in, but this way, once you have like a something that sounds rhythmically solid, you can work around 1/16th, and you may be amazed how much of the vibe changes while just shifting something 1/16th away or 2/16ths away, right? So this is what I was talking about when you just take one aspect, one little component of what you're doing, and you shake it up, you roll the dice, and see what comes out of that, right? Without having to shake the entire thing out, because we know how does it work if you want to just like randomize everything. Some synthesizers have like a randomizing everything thing, and that's always fun to work with, but I feel like it's much more useful to be able to randomize the little nuggets of what we're doing. Okay, so another way, and I know that we're diving into whatever works for you kind of territory, okay? Something that a few times had me really smile in front of my synthesizer was whenever, I would jam the night before. It's kind of like the beauty and the curse of hardware is that sometimes, or many times, what you end up saving the night before does not sound exactly the same way the following day, right? And that is because not every single thing that you do is dialed in and saved into the synthesizer. Now, there's ways to go about that. I kind of like to keep things flexible, okay? There has been a few times in which I found a patch or a sound that I couldn't never really quite find back the following time. But many other times, I come up with something and then I record it in a video, and then I come up the following day, I just turn on the synthesizer. Something I like to do is to just like push play. I have no idea what the hell this is. I mean, maybe I do have an idea. This might be something that I've done a few nights ago, but it definitely sounds completely different than what I came out that night, okay? So what I'm saying with this is it's nice and fun to switch parameters, patches once in a while and just see how the stuff sounds like, okay? You just send a bunch of inputs to the machine, let it deal with it. And I will say that out of this, 85% of the times, it's just something that makes me chuckle, and then I just try to find whatever I left, and it's usually like just a couple knobs away. Other times, whatever I found the next day, which was like the distorted version, okay, of what you went to sleep the night before, was actually more interesting and just fun to listen to, because again, it was something that I never programmed. I never thought it was possible. It comes from somewhere else, and by mistake, I just translated the same patch over another instrument, okay? Now, I like to do this kind of impromptu. I just like love to just turn on the synthesizer. I turn on a Digitakt. Everything else is connected to it already. So I just push play and see what happens. But you can also be more decisive with it, and you can decide to start changing patches and start changing sounds to what you like. So for example, if you have a synthesizer like the Micro Freak or the Roland Juno like I do here, even the Volk FM, whatever synthesizer with a big patch bank inside, just try to flip the patches, try to be wild, try to turn a pad into a bass line, or the other way around, the bass line into some sort of Rhodes sounding keys. It is kind of bizarre what you can come up with, but it can be the next thing that takes you forward in your composition, okay, in your writing, your composing. So yeah, I hope that this was useful for you. I hope that you come up with as many happy accents as you want, as long as you can stop them from happening when you want, okay? And until next time, ALBER out.